timer's going. Already done. What the shit? Welcome to Project Arrowhead here on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. I do need to start off. All right, Keith, you can kill the music anytime. I can't even hear myself over here. Thank you. The music was loud. Anyway, it's still going, Keith. Oh, okay. I need to start off by saying that James O'Grady is no longer a co-host on Project Arrowhead. Wish James well. And you can still see James O'Grady at the Lansdowne Pub on Thursday nights doing karaoke. But effective immediately, as evident the last 2 weeks, James will no longer be on the show. So, thanks for all you've done over the past couple months. And we wish you nothing but the best on your future endeavors. And with that, I do have to also mention that Project Arrowhead is brought to you by the Lansdowne Pub, the Mohegan Sun's #1 nightlife spot, located on the upper level in the retail area. Lansdowne Pub, beautiful place, great food, great entertainment, daily specials. Executive Chef Randy Tillett does an amazing job. So stop by the Lansdowne Pub, once again located on the upper level, retail level of the Mohegan Sun. Make plans for this Saturday. This Saturday they have the big halfway to St. Patrick's Day party. Food and drink specials all day long, giveaways, no live music, but they do have a couple DJs, one on Friday, one on Saturday night. Live music will return next week. But stop on in, have a good time. Once again, it's the halfway to St. Patrick's Day at the Lansdowne Pub, and that is all day this Saturday. So hopefully we'll see you there. I do have, I'm going to try to get through this because it's been pretty rough. I do have a little bit of bad news to share with everybody. One of our friends, one of the biggest supporters of Scares That Care, Hollywood icon. Most of you people know him as Captain Spaulding from House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and Three from Hell. Mr. Sid Haig passed away this weekend. And for those of you who never had the opportunity to get to know Sid the man, nothing like the characters he played. He loved his family. He loved his fans. He was just... I had the pleasure of having dinner with him a couple times, and during that entire time, we talked about just life in general. We talked about his kids and how absolutely proud he was of them and their accomplishments, and we just talked about everything. And he would light right up when he was talking about his family. He loved everything he did for the charity, and I'm going to miss him. It's not going to be the same every year. And Sid, you lived your life as only most of us could dream of. And love you, brother. Godspeed. And rest easy now, bud. All right. Now that I've thoroughly depressed the shit out of everybody, Keith, you have no idea how hard it was for me to get through that. I was talking to Gina, and I said, this is going to be tough. This is going to be tough. So, I mentioned the Halfway to St. Patrick's Day blast that we're going to have on Saturday at the Lansdowne Pub. We have a couple other events that we need to mention. Haunted History at the Leffingwell Inn in Norwich, Connecticut, put on by Arrowhead Paranormal Investigations, along with Crossing the Veil Paranormal. And it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a good time. It is on October 25th and 26th. It's what it is we bring you in. We give you the tools, teach you a little bit. We give you a little bit of the history of the house, teach you how to use the equipment, and you get to go with us, and you get to be the investigator. So it's pretty cool. You get to use the actual equipment, see the things for yourself, and Leffingwell Inn is always a hotbed of activity. So that's October 25th and 26th. Time slots are from 6 to 7:30, 8 to 9:30, and 10 to 11:30. It's $30 for adults, $25 for ages 12 to 17. Due to insurance, no one under 12 is permitted. And for reservations, you can email Red Lake Nation, all one word, Red Lake Nation 24 at gmail.com. Include your name, the number in your group, and the preferred date and time. And once again, those dates are the 25th and 26th of October, 6 to 7:30, 8 to 9:30, and 10 to 11:30. So, Red Lake Nation 24 at gmail.com. Now, on top of that, Snow Bruno will also be doing tarot readings. And those are available for $20 for a basic reading and $30 for a full read. And you do need to make reservations for that. Snow needs a good tally of who's coming, who's not coming. Well, basically, tally of who's coming. Doesn't matter if you're not coming. Anyway, again, it's $20 for a basic reading, $30 for a full reading. For reservations, email Crossing the Veil Paranormal, all one word, Crossing the Veil Paranormal, at gmail.com. Crossing the Veil Paranormal at gmail.com. And I had a slip of paper talking about the other event we had coming up, and I don't know what happened to it. So I'll have to talk about that later, and that is the Dark Manor event that we're having. That'll be on Halloween night, and there's a couple other dates too. Let's see if I have it here. No, I don't know what happened to it, but I will get that on here later. And a couple of good events. Dark Manor is located in Baltic, Connecticut. It's an amazing attraction. It's a haunted house, and they do a great job. But then you'll also get to go in with the paranormal team and do some stuff there. So, Keith, how you doing? Keith, how you doing?
Sorry, I was sharing stuff, but I'm doing fine.
Doing fine?
Yep.
Nice.
Well, other than some issues with...
Utter?
Utter?
Uttered in
I said
some...
other.
You said utter.
I think you need to have a hearing check.
You said uttered in some issues.
Even the cat's meowing at you telling you I didn't say utter.
Yeah,
I said
utter is a thing on a cow. It's an utter.
Just like I say fur.
Defer. Yeah.
Anyhow.
I got to be there for 10 o'clock.
Just some issues with neuropathy. That's about it.
Yeah, neuropathy sucks.
It makes life miserable.
Wow. So, anyway, I hope you feel better. We're going to continue our Haunted America. If you remember last year, holy crap, I'm still totally not with it. Last week we did the Amityville house. This week we're going to do what some consider to be one of the most haunted places. It's definitely on the top, but I don't know, whatever. And for my Virginia peeps, this is in West Virginia, and it's called the West Virginia State Penitentiary, but it's also called the Moundsville Penitentiary. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
All right. Well, nobody really knows when they started saying that it was haunted. But rumors were going around even before the prison was decommissioned in 95. The caretaker of the former penitentiary, he said strange happenings had been circulating for years. The inmates claimed the place was haunted, which he thought wasn't uncommon for a place like that. Now, this was a crazy place. It is now opened with former guards giving tours to the public. And there were a lot of stories, and the public seemed really, really interested. What put him on the map was MTV show Fear. I don't think I've ever seen that. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Anyway, Fear was a reality TV program on MTV from 2000 to 2002. On each episode, contestants were taken to an allegedly haunted location where they spent 2 nights and went through a series of dares in hopes of confirming the site was haunted. I don't know why I've never seen that. Because it's MTV. There's been a steady stream of ghost hunters, ghost chasers, and other folks since then. So, other television shows have also filmed at the penitentiary. Once again, it is located in West Virginia. The facility has seen camera crews from the Discovery Channel, ABC, Sci-Fi, and for the film Out of the Furnace. I don't think I've seen that movie either. Most recently, Netflix came to the penitentiary to film scenes for Mindhunter. Have you seen that show?
No.
Very good show. It's kind of like Criminal Minds, but where it would have began. So, they came to the Moundsville Penitentiary, filmed episodes of Mindhunter, and they almost used it for the Green Mile, but ultimately it went to the Tennessee State Penitentiary. So, I mean, there was a lot of stuff. A lot of people want to film there, which I don't know. It's closed from November to April. It's just extremely cold. It's way too cold. Now, in 1876, the stone Gothic structure sits on 19 acres and it resembles a medieval fortress. During the peak, it housed upwards of 2,000 prisoners. They mostly lived in like a gloomy 5x7 iron cell. But it wasn't designed to hold that many. It wasn't even designed to hold half that many. At times, many of the cramped cells contained up to 3 inmates. 2 would sleep on narrow bunks chained to the wall, while a third got a mattress to put on the floor next to the toilet. Even the single occupancy was claustrophobic. Each inmate had a footlocker, and that was it. It housed the worst of the worst. Murderers, rapists, serial killers. It also had its share of criminal celebrities. The most notorious was Harry Powers, the Lonely Hearts Killer. Powers used newspaper ads to lure lonely women into believing he was looking for love and marriage, and he only sought to rob and kill them. I think we talked about him on our serial killer show. Powers came to be the inspiration for the black-hearted Harry Powell in David Scrubb's Night of the Hunter. He lived in Clarksburg, was arrested in 1931, convicted of the murders of 2 women and 3 young children. It's believed Powers was likely more responsible for at least 2 more deaths. He was hanged at the penitentiary in the spring of 1932, one of 94 men executed during the prison's 119 years of operation. This one here is kind of creepy. A wall in the penitentiary's gift shop displays pictures of most of the men in the state killed at the West Virginia State Penitentiary. So everybody that was killed in there, their pictures hanging in the gift shop. That's what I said. I'm like, why? A face here and there glares hatefully from its black and white 3-inch by 5-inch photo. Most of the bland expression of someone asked to pose for a photo in a work directory. They wore prison-issued uniforms, possibly the clothes in which they were convicted. One of the men killed at the penitentiary... of the men killed at the penitentiary, 85 were hanged and 9 were electrocuted. I didn't even know. I thought hanging went out like a long time ago. The facility's electric chair, Old Sparky, greets visitors when they first come through the door. It's kept in a cage and protected. Originally, Style said the chair was housed in a separate building located on the prison yard, referred to as a death house. Previously, it housed the prison gallows. So you get to see the actual electric chair as soon as you walk in there. The hangings used to be public, kind of like what you see in like the old westerns. And this is 1931. So in 1931, they were still doing public hangings. People could come and watch. Now, in 1931, that changed. A noose was put around Frank Heyer's neck. Heyer had been convicted of murdering his wife and sentenced to death. Heyer had been convicted of murdering his wife and was sentenced to death. Now, at the time, the hanging followed the long drop method, which factored height and weight into how far a drop of the condemned required to break his neck. Well, Heyer didn't have very strong neck muscles. The hanging resulted in decapitation. So his head was ripped off of his body, and a new policy was put in place that executions would be by invitation only. Still a little weird. They didn't start doing the electrocutions, though, until 1951. In each execution, an electrician came to the penitentiary to establish the connection on one of the 3 switches, and 3 guards would pull it simultaneously. They put all the names of the guards in a hat, they picked the names out, and it was just something they had to do. It was stated as part of your job. If you didn't do it, you were fired. So you had no choice but to pull the switch. The death house was torn down at the request of inmates after the death penalty was abolished in West Virginia in 1965. Now, aside from the state-sponsored executions, violence, murder were commonplace during the last couple of decades. Gangs like the Aryan Brotherhood, the Avengers motorcycle gang roamed the yard and frequently clashed over things like turf and control over the flow of contraband. Because of poor funding, conditions within the prison continued to deteriorate, and in 1986, the inmates rioted, partly over a leaky sewer pipe that went under the floor of the prison cafeteria. The smell was horrible, they said, and could you imagine trying to eat? Guards and kitchen workers were held hostage and threatened, and Governor Moore met with the prisoners and negotiated for the release. And they got pretty much what they wanted. There were plans to decommission the prison already, but Governor Moore agreed to build a new cafeteria. The hostages released, unharmed, but not before the inmates killed 3 of their own men that they thought were prison snitches. So it's the perfect hotbed for paranormal activity. I kind of want to go down and take the tour. What do you think?
Sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a lot of fun. A little spooky, but...
Well, yeah. People see the ghost of the guy who was decapitated by the hanging walking around. I could see that. There's several areas around the prison known as hot spots where an unusual amount of paranormal activity takes place. The chapel, the shower cages, death row, the sugar shack, which was a recreational area, and the North Wagon Gate, which is where death row inmates were taken to be hung before the facility used the electric chair. Again, that's what I said. One of the other areas known for strange occurrences is the circular entrance gate, which was used to separate arriving inmates from the warden's living quarters. According to reports, the circular cage turns periodically by itself, giving the impression that the spirits of criminals are still arriving at the prison. Well, that one's pretty cool. So,
where is this prison at?
West Virginia. Moundsville, West Virginia.
And it's open to the public for tours.
Yep. Yep. Now, was it Rochelle supposed to start off the show today? Didn't she have some personal haunting things that she wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I don't see her on yet, though.
Well, okay. Sarah did great last week. Sarah was amazing. Sarah called up with some really, really good stuff.
I'll have to agree.
Yeah, of course you have to agree. One of the places that I really want to go to, and I wish I knew about this back when I was in the military. And back then, I wasn't into the ghost stuff back then. I was, but not as much as I am now. The Whaley House, which is actually in San Diego. It's actually one of the most historically significant houses in San Diego. And it's known as one of the most haunted places in America. Its rich past is also a torrid one, including the suicide of Violet Whaley from the second floor balcony, and then the hanging of Yankee Jim Robinson, which took place before the house was constructed. People who go to the Whaley House, Whaley House, they report strange sounds, sights, and inexplicable events. So much so that many paranormal experts have investigated, including America's Most Haunted. Like I said, I wish I was out there to see this. And it's everything from heavy footsteps, disembodied voices, to the apparition of Thomas Whaley and his wife Anna. Visitors report being spooked, intrigued, and even a bit frightened while touring the house. Other ghosts have been seen as well, and because the house was home to many residents after after the Whaley family moved out, nobody knows for sure who they are. But one thing remains constant. There's definitely somebody in there. So we got to get you to a real haunted house.
What's that?
We got to get you to a real haunted house.
I've been to one.
Where?
In Norwich. Someone's personal home.
Oh. And you were at the... you were at...
Leffingwell?
Yeah. I forgot about that one.
That was a pretty interesting place. Especially upstairs.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, and my God, Robert the Doll. Do you remember Robert the Doll?
I think I've heard of it.
I don't know what's... Well, I guess Annabelle's worse because that's a portal to demonic activity. But Robert the Doll's right up there. It's like something out of a Stephen King book. Robert haunts visitors at the East Mateo Fort in Key West. His unusual story is scary, as he once was the favorite childhood toy of a local boy, Robert Eugene Otto, who went by the name of Gene. When Gene received the handmade doll, all seemed normal until one day his parents heard a disturbance in their son's bedroom. Yeah, Jim said it. He's a sailor. Yep. When they heard Gene screaming, they ran into his door, only to find it locked and to hear the boy screaming for help. When they finally got the door open, they saw their son's room was in total disarray, furniture knocked over, items were strewn all over the place, and poor Gene shivering with fear. His only words were, "Robert did it." Over the years, Gene would say those words a lot when strange things happened or things were inexplicably broken. And, yeah, Key West definitely is. So, Gene, when Gene became an adult, he kept Robert even after he married. To the dismay of his wife, who probably thought that, what the hell is he doing with this creepy doll? He put the doll in the attic. Even in this isolation did not dissuade Robert from spooking people. People on the sidewalk below the home would report seeing the doll sitting in the window of an upstairs room. Many times, Robert seemed to move around the house, and when the Otto home was eventually sold, the new owner donated the doll. Reports say that it moved from one room to another on a regular basis. Today, you can see Robert the Doll at the East Mateo Fort in Key West. He resides inside a glass display case, although this does not stop him from behaving badly. Many report camera malfunctions when trying to take a photo of him. Workers state that he changes his position, and lights and electronics and cameras all seem to stop working correctly in his presence. I don't have any plans to go to Key West, but if I do, I'm going to stop in and say hi to Robert. Maybe not. Man, that's just some freaky shit right there.
Speaking of hauntings, have you ever heard of a website, and you might want to pull it up, called Damned Connecticut or DamnedCT.com?
Yep.
They have, if you're interested in going to any places that might be haunted, places you never even heard of, you go to DamnedConnecticut.com, and you click on the tab that says hauntings. And this whole site, Damned Connecticut, is based on Connecticut hauntings and weird places, witchcraft, I can't say that right for some reason. Abandoned places. There's a lot of... matter of fact, in Connecticut, do you know we have an abandoned town?
Yes.
A couple of them. One of them that's not even... it's like you drive into it. You can publicly drive into this town, and it's just empty houses.
Yeah, it's older houses, but yeah. Yep.
Right. I'm looking up that information for that right now, but that doesn't mean go. There's a problem with. You get some people that go to places like this, and they take pictures and they check it out. They have a good time, and then you have idiots to go in there and vandalize places. So that's why a lot of these places are not published. It's you got to be. There's an insiders group of what do you call explorers, urban explorers, and you have to be a trusted person to be on this website. But on that site, which is password protected, is a whole bunch of places that they share. It's like their own social media of haunted places, abandoned places in the tri-state region.
And what did you say the name of it was?
Well, the one that I'm on right now is Damned Connecticut. The other one I can't publicize because you need a username and password to get into it. They have a Facebook page as well, but I was told not to really talk about it or advertise. Well, I can talk about it, but I just can't advertise where it's at. But it's an interesting Facebook page. It's got tons and tons of photos from urban explorers around the state that have explored.
Hold on. Sarah just came up with a, whoa, are you watching the news? No. Why? What's up?
I'll check it out.
What's going on, Sarah? Fill us all in.
Yeah, what's going on with the news? Such a delay in that.
All right. Come on, Sarah. Spill the beans.
So until she tells us what's going on, as I was saying, there's this Facebook page. I believe it's that is public. It's Abandoned Connecticut or something like that. And there's urban explorers that... Would you... I have a cat evading my desk here. There's tons of places that they've explored that are all posted on there. But don't bother asking them where they're at because they won't tell you.
So, according to Sarah, Pelosi's announcing she's going to begin the impeachment. She's going to look into impeachment.
Please.
She's not going to impeach anything.
Jesus, when is this crap going to ever end? If I hear someone say impeachment one more time, I'm going to slap them silly.
Yep. They can't get their way, so that's what they're going to do. Impeach this.
You're getting slapped. When is this? I've never heard so much nonsense with one president.
No, that's... yeah. Cryptozoology is what you were looking at.
Cryptozoology, that's right.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna do something, don't say anything. Just shut up and go do it. That's this never ends. What are you gonna impeach him for? Because of Iran? That he's gonna basically hand our military over to a dictator?
No.
Yeah, that's what our president's going to do. He's going to have our military go over there and defend Iran and get into not Iran.
Wow. Here is one that is right by my house that I didn't even know about.
Are you looking at which one?
Captain Grant's Inn in Preston.
Captain Grant's Inn. Yep, I'm looking at it.
So, interesting.
Preston cites Captain's Inn is a rustic bed and breakfast that for over 2 centuries has succeeded in both temporary refuge for travelers and a permanent home to ghost. In 1974, Captain William Grant built a suitable...
In 1754,
Captain William Grant built a suitable home in Pocatonic, Pocatonic Village for his beloved wife, Mercy, and their children. Even though Captain Grant later died at sea, the abode served the family well. Mercy lived there until her 80s, followed by 3 generations of Grants. According to the inn's website, during the Revolutionary War, soldiers of the Continental Army were garrisoned there during the Civil War. Escaped slaves were sheltered there. The house has underwent significant renovation in the mid-1990s and now features numerous named rooms, 6 working fireplaces, a 3-story porch. Sounds like a lot going on there. There's also a cemetery that was located behind it, and apparently one room in particular, I can't read that. What is that?
Oh, yeah, the Adelaide room is a hot spot for paranormal activity. One guest claims to have awakened in the middle of the night to see next to her bed a woman dressed in colonial-era garb holding hands with 2 children. There have also been claims of the TV turning itself on and off, as well as the shower curtain being knocked down without provocation. Some visitors have reported hearing random knockings and seeing unusual shapes. One guest described the sensation of having her face caressed by invisible hands. Another told of the shade of a young child passing through them. Paranormal investigators have also allegedly recorded EVPs here, including the voice of a young girl. Phantom footsteps have been heard in the attic. The owner of the inn has described their supposed ghost as protective spirits and have only reported positive, if eerie, experiences. Captain Grant is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and has been featured on Home and Garden TV and in Yankee Magazine. So that'd be pretty cool. I mean, that's literally right across the river.
Yeah.
I want to say it's on Route 2A. So that's pretty cool. That, yeah, Route 2A. One of the most haunted places in the area is on Route 2A.
What about, did you ever hear of Gay City Park?
I've heard of it.
They say that's haunted, too. I don't know. It's a state park. I don't understand how it can be haunted. Well, they talk about Devil's Hop Yard, too. But I've been there 100 times, never seen anything. I know there's a lot of, during Halloween, there's said to be people deep in the woods doing rituals. Will you catch me hiking around?
Sarah said she didn't like the vibes there.
Where?
Which one, Devil's Hop Yard or the Gay City Park? Gay City Park.
I'm supposed to be going there to go check it out sometime soon. It looks pretty interesting. I'm checking out the site now. There's a lot of old ruins there.
Well, here we go. This is the one everybody's been asking me about. And yes, this is the one I am writing the movie about. So, here we go. One of the most renowned damned places in Connecticut is the abandoned and cursed village of Dudleytown.
Oh, jeez.
But as with many dark places, Dudleytown wasn't always like that. Well, yeah, sort of it was. Like much of Connecticut, settlers came to the area around what is now the quiet little town of Cornwall in the mid-18th century. And that includes the first Dudleys who came here from England via Guildford to the Litchfield Hills in 1747. They helped create what became a thriving community known then as Owlsbury, primarily fueled through the region's growing iron industry. Homes were built, land was farmed, iron was forged, the town grew and prospered, and all was well. Yippee-skippy, everything's fine and dandy, right? Wrong. Some attribute the demise of the town to multiple mundane factors. The depletion of the farmland, the decline of the area's iron industry, the natural progression of younger Americans heading west to settle the new land, blah, blah, blah. Of course, there are others who simply believe the Dudley clan was cursed. Okay, this was stated from England that the Dudley family was cursed. As an inordinate number of Dudleys supposedly came to untimely ends, and that the curse extended to the village they helped found. Whatever the cause, the Dudleys died off, and the settlement's population continued to dwindle until about the turn of the 20th century, when the last residents finally gave up and abandoned what was left of the town. The surrounding forest slowly swallowed up the homes and buildings. Today, the only remnants of what had been are a few crumbling foundations and empty cellars. Yeah, not to mention the curse of the Dudleys, which is still there. So, as the story goes, anyone who's tried to live in what had been Dudleytown has come into some terrible misfortune. Over the years, there's allegedly been everything from suicides to demonic possessions and all the hysterical drama in between. The Warrens famously recorded a Halloween special from Dudleytown in the early 70s, declaring it officially demonically possessed, which essentially opened the supernatural floodgates. Now, I do want to mention that Lorraine Warren never stepped foot in Dudleytown. She was absolutely no way she was going to step foot in there. Since then, it has become home to all sorts of alleged paranormal experiences, with visitors witnessing all manners of spirits and phantoms, as well as having unsettled feelings of dread and fear. As you might expect, the area has also drawn the attention of those enthralled with dark forces and demonic rituals, plus a healthy number of amateur ghostbusters and teenagers simply searching for trouble. In short, it's become a damnation destination. Of course, much of the mythology around the curse of Dudleytown has been debunked, sort of, but why would anyone let that get in the way of a good spooky story? Okay, so what they're trying to do here is stop people from going to Dudleytown. Okay, some of the things in this article are, like, they didn't tell you that Lorraine Warren did not go into Dudleytown. She was a clairvoyant, and when she got there, she said that that place was so evil that there was no way she was stepping foot in there. Also, and I do mean also, there is an eerie quiet. You don't hear anything. There's no birds. There's no bugs. There's nothing. Not a sound. It's almost like everything living has vanished. So, I will tell you, don't go to Dudleytown. But it's the real deal. Absolutely the real deal. What you got now, Keith?
I just lost it. Maud's grave.
Maud's grave?
M-A-U-D.
Oh, yeah, that's Maud. That's Maud.
In Voluntown and Sterling.
Well, is she buried in Voluntown or is she buried in Sterling?
Well, I don't know. You have to read the article.
All right.
But apparently it's at another state park. It's in the Hell Hollow area of the Patchogue State Forest. Mm-hmm. Apparently there's a witch, a woman who was killed by the Indians who was a witch. And apparently in the middle of the state forest somewhere, there's a grave.
Oh, this is the one that Sarah was talking about last week. See, I thought it was Mercy Brown, but this is the one she was talking about. Okay. So, who was Maud? And why is her grave so troubled? Well, some claim she's a witch who was persecuted by the locals and then hanged, while others claim that she was the daughter of a witch who was tortured and killed. Another group will tell you that she was simply a child who got lost in the woods or died of smallpox. Then there's others who think she's related to the screaming spirit of a Native American woman slain by British soldiers. Or it could be all of the above. According to the best researched account that they can find, which was actually from the New London Day, Maud Reynolds was almost 2 years old when she died in October of 1890. The death certificate states the cause of her death as diphtheria, a common and sometimes fatal ailment in the 19th century. but there are some accounts suggesting the family members thought she may have choked on a piece of apple. For reasons only known to her family, she wasn't buried with the other deceased relatives in the Reynolds family cemetery, but instead was laid to rest in a spot closer to their home. Some speculate it was so that the 5-foot-tall cement cross that originally marked her grave could be seen from the house by her grieving parents. Go figure. The cross has since been knocked down, and now Maud's unmarked grave is now in the middle of the woods. At the time of her death, it was at the edge of a field belonging to the family farm, but that has long since been reclaimed by the surrounding landscape. Apparently, there is another, more popular gravesite nearby in the Sterling end of Hell Hollow, marked with a broken headstone inscribed Maud. But the dates, 1647 to 1654, don't match those of Maud Reynolds. And it is made of cement, unusual for grave markers. There's speculation this is a hoax, or simply someone else named Maud. This one is better known and seems to be the one of the most that the legend surrounds, and this draws more attention. They haven't been able to find any specific stories of witch persecution or execution in the area, but that certainly doesn't mean it didn't happen. In addition to those two stories, there is also a legend of a Native American woman who was killed by early colonists in the late 18th century. And those screams can still be heard in the forest today. The Patchogue Forest is also allegedly home to a number of other ghostly entities, detailing the haunting of Patchogue Forest by David Trefillo.
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
I heard a scream.
I didn't hear anything.
There you go.
Friggin' dope. As you might imagine, the mysterious grave in the forest has inspired many legends and friend of a friend type stories, the most popular of which is along the lines of teenage party on or desecrate the grave and then soon meet tragic deaths. Others suggest that by simply coming close to the grave is enough to upset Maud and she will move the rocks on her grave in protest. Also, it's alleged that by simply saying her name aloud in the vicinity of her grave can bring about a curse that will follow you home. Of course, everything from ghosts and spirit mists to orbs and cold spots have been experienced here. The disembodied cries of a young girl have also been reported. Ooh. Others have recorded EVPs. In addition to supposed feelings of dread, there are also urban legend-like accounts of a mysterious woman instantaneously appearing in the middle of the roadway, getting hit by a car but not actually leaving a solid corpse behind. Although Maud may have long been laid to rest, many believe she's not resting peacefully. If you go, Little Maud Reynolds' unmarked grave is supposedly just off Hell Hollow Road in Volunteer. It's marked by a pile of rocks. To get to the second, possibly fictional Maud site, apparently also a pile of rocks, take Hellhound Road into Sterling, cross Route 49 into Cedar Swamp Road. On the right is the Cedar Swamp Cemetery, and beyond that, you will find the path into the woods. So I'm going to go with the unmarked grave off of Hell Hollow Road, and I'm up for a road trip to go check it out. Definitely up for a road trip to go check it out. Which one did you go to, Sarah? The one in Voluntown or the one in Sterling? The unmarked grave or the marked grave? All right, yeah, you can go. Absolutely. You can show me where the hell it is. Sarah's up for a road trip, too. All right, those are the ones that are, like, right here. We have one in North Stonington, the John York House. have not heard of that one. Been where? My cousin Jimmy Wild Bear Gilman's been where? The one in North Stonington? Or the grave? Since when did you become a ghost hunter? All right, so the John York House in North Stonington. As the story goes, the John York House has served as a family home, a tavern, and an inn for over 2.5 centuries. Apparently, it's also been the primary residence for a spirit or two during that time as well. As tales of ghostly activity here go back to the 18th century, built in 1741 for, you guessed it, John York. Oh, okay. He went to Voluntown. The businessman and farmer, the dwelling was originally inhabited by the York and his family. When the Revolutionary War broke out, York's house did double duty as a tavern, and that's where the story of the eventual haunting begins. So it's kind of like the Leffingwell Inn. I mean, same thing. According to the legend, one night during the war, two soldiers were enjoying the libations offered in the tavern, and as men are wont to do after a drink or two, started talking about women. In this case, however, it wasn't too long before they realized that they both were keen for the same local girl, and proving that certain situations have not really changed all that much over the centuries. An alcohol-fueled brawl over the last broke out. Of course, you can't have a good haunting without tragedy, so as the tale goes, in the heat of the fight, one of the soldiers pulled out a knife and murdered his comrade. Distraught over his action, the soldier ran off and committed suicide. The alleged paranormal activity began immediately. The legend says that the murdered man's blood could not be scrubbed off the floorboards, so they were torn up and thrown away. This apparently did not quell the dead man's spirit, and thus began the odd phenomena. Shadowy forms and inexplicable noises and random cold spots about the house. These kinds of activities allegedly continued as the decades and centuries passed. None of them were particularly significant until 1963, when Hugo and Miriam Wilms bought the John York House and moved in with their family. Noticing the ghostly events, Miriam attempted to get to the bottom of whatever was going on. Unfortunately, this only seemed to exasperate the situation, and the paranormal activity supposedly intensifies. Witnesses claim that items flew off walls, loud footsteps, noises, doors opened themselves, household items operated on their own. After one of those Wilms' sons reported being attacked, call went out to Ed and Lorraine Warren, who came in and identified the spirit of a young Revolutionary War soldier. The Warrens worked to have the troubled spirits leave the house, and although they were reported they were successful, the Wilms moved out in 1987 anyway. The John York home sat empty for a while before a couple bought it in 1997 and ran it as a bread and breakfast. They claim that they never experienced anything out of the ordinary outside of the occasional odd voice, but did say that a few of their guests saw more unusual things from time to time. So, have they moved on, or are they still there? That's one I'll call on. I mean, that's literally right here. And I'll see. It's going to be kind of cool to investigate all of these things. So, any word from Rochelle yet?
No.
Well, that's weird. So, oh, you can't make this stuff up. Antonio Brown. Here's a guy that's got it made. Ready to make millions of dollars. They looked at these allegations against him, and pretty much after, I don't want to say interrogating, but after interviewing the complainant, realized that they were not true. So here he is. He's going to continue to play football. What does the dumbass do? He sends a not so much threatening, but a harassing text to one of the women and includes pictures of her 3 kids in there, shaming them for being poor and this and that. And it was like, dude, what are you thinking? Are you a complete freaking buffoon? So what happens? Patriots say, all right, that's it. You're done. Bye-bye. And released him. And luckily they released him on Friday because yesterday he was due to make, I forget what it was, he was getting like a $9 million bonus or something. And now he's not getting that. And then another story today was that down in Florida, the place where he lived, is suing him. The place where he lived, it's a $35,000 a month rent. And not only hasn't he paid the rent, but he trashed the place. So, I don't know. I mean, this guy's got some serious issues. He's definitely a head case. And nobody's going to sign him. Nobody. The Patriots have taken people that have had issues and turned them around, and if they can't turn them around, then it's pretty much they're pretty much a lost cause. So, hey Keith.
Yeah.
What do Patriot fans, Raider fans, and Pittsburgh fans all have in common?
I don't know.
They're all AB negative.
Oh my God.
I had to go there. Oh, Jesus. Here we go. Yeah, I'm getting all the breaking news about Pelosi and her impeachment inquiries and all this and that. You know, if they spent more time trying to do something positive for this country, instead of spending all this time and effort for 3 freaking years trying to bring down the president, then maybe something would have gotten accomplished. It's disgusting. I'm so tired of hearing it. You know, you got Blumenthal, who was in Vietnam, right? Wrong. And oh my God, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. The man literally said he was in Vietnam and then got called out on it and it was not in Vietnam. But everybody believes everything he says. He's, oh my God, tricky dicky. Come on. That's it. I'm tired of talking about politics.
Politics blow.
Yeah, tired of politics. So I'm seriously thinking of taking a road trip to Voluntown for this unmarked grave. And Bear knows where it is. Sarah knows where it is. So it shouldn't be a hard time. I think it'll be pretty cool. Yeah. Pretty cool. Hey, don't forget, coming up on the 11th, 12th, and 13th of October, Rock and Shock in Worcester, Mass. I will be there. Gina will be there. Come up and say hi. We will be representing Scares That Care. Stop by the booth, make a donation, check out our stuff. And again, that is Rock and Shock up in Worcester, Mass. It's going to be a good time. Bruce Campbell's going to be there. My buddy Kane Hodder, Jason himself, will be up there. So it should be a lot of fun. So stop up and see us. All right, Keith, what's next? What else you got?
If you go under on Damned Connecticut, if you go under Abandoned, and then you look Gardner Lake, Salem, Connecticut.
What is Rock and Shock? Rock and Shock is a horror convention / concert. During the day is the horror convention, and then at night is music at the Palladium. It is the 11th, 12th, and 13th of October at the DCU Center in Worcester, Massachusetts. Rockin' Shock. Okay. Gardner Lake,
Salem.
I know where Gardner Lake is.
It's under abandoned. If you go under abandoned,
I'm under
look
abandoned.
down, you'll see a Gardner Lake.
Abandoned. I don't know where you're seeing it because I'm not seeing it.
On Damned, Connecticut.
Yeah.
You go to abandoned places.
Yeah.
And go down the list, and you'll see Gardner Lake there in the list. I think.
I've been all up and down.
Oh, I'm sorry. Weird places.
That's what I was going to say. Since when is it abandoned?
It's weird places.
Weird places. All right. And there we are. Gardner Lake. Let's see why it's weird. Gardner Lake in Salem is known for many things. Its natural beauty, its excellent fishing, and an entire house sitting on its murky bottom. And, of course, its mysterious piano music that seemingly arises from the depths. Oh, yeah. Definitely weird people there. Yep. Okay, one thing at a time. How did a fully intact home get to the bottom of Gardner Lake? Apparently back in 1895, a family living on one side of the lake wanted to move their home to the other. Applying a little Yankee ingenuity, they decided to wait until the lake froze over so they could jack the house up and put it on sleds and move it the shortest distance in a straight line across the ice. The only problem was that they weren't able to get the house all the way across the lake in one day, so they left it in the middle with intentions to come back the next day to finish the job. Unfortunately, Mother Nature finished the move in her own way, weakening the ice overnight just enough to sink a portion of the house. Before it went all the way to the bottom, however, the family was able to get out many possessions except for its biggest items, a stove, couches, and an upright piano. Apparently, the house didn't sink right away. It actually floated on the lake surface for a few days before giving into the inevitable. But sink it eventually did, finding a new resting place 30 feet deep on the lake bottom instead of the lake shore. To this day, people have scuba dived in the lake, report that parts of the house and furniture still remain intact, including the aforementioned piano. Okay, that's sort of an unusual thing, right? How many lakes have entire houses in them? The really weird part comes later, as over the years, many people who have fished the lake have claimed to hear odd, faint piano music. No one is really sure where it comes from, although most seem to agree the mysterious melodies come from below. And
that's creepy.
If it is coming from below, then who's tickling the ivories? We've heard of swimming with fishes, but no one can say anything about musical accompaniment.
There's another one in that list. It's right next door in Groton, Connecticut. I don't know if you've ever heard of Gunjiwamp.
Yep.
I've been wanting to go there for years. And apparently they give tours of the area at certain times of the year.
Yep. Yeah, Gunjiwamp is another one. The cave.
It's in that list.
When many people think of ancient places here in New England, most of us tend to imagine abandoned colonial area settlements or early Native American sites, either of which may be a few hundred years old. But in Groton exists an unusual complex that has been dated back to nearly 2000 BC. And that's ancient. As with many truly ancient sites, it's not exactly clear who originally built Gunjiwamp, but for what exactly it was created is still unknown. The complex, which is divided into north and south sections, has many fascinating features, including a double circle of stones, standing stones, and multiple stone chambers. At least one chamber is constructed so that during the vernal and autumn equinoxes, sunlight streams in through an opening in the wall and illuminates a hidden sun chamber. There are also stone mounds, cairns, walls,
Polyglyphs.
no, petroglyphs.
Petroglyphs, my bad.
And a rock ledge called the Cliff of Tears, where visitors have been known to experience sudden bouts of inexplicable sadness or depression. A few people who have visited the site seem to think it may have been originally built by ancient Celts who came to Groton in hopes of establishing a new colony. Others think that the mounds and chambers may even be some interdimensional portal. Not a shred of evidence supporting either wild claim has ever been unearthed at any point during the many excavations of the site. They have dated it, though, to 2000 BC.
That's crazy.
And I'm going to guess evidence has been discovered suggesting that the site was first used by Native Americans for centuries and then later by colonial settlers. The stone foundations of colonial dwellings still stands in a few spots. All in all, a treasure trove of damned history. As you might expect, Gunjiwamp has been the focus of multiple professional archaeological explorations, which has unearthed a lot of information, as well as everything from arrowheads to pottery fragments to coins and animal bones. One of the stone circles appears to have been a mill for extracting tannins, which would have been used in turning animal hides into leather. Some of the standing stones seem to be along
astronomical line.
I thought there should be an A in it. Seem to be along an astronomical line. It could have been a calendar of sorts. The exact purpose of the chamber is unclear, but if the site was initially a sacred complex, then it's possible the chamber used in various rituals. Later, they were used by settlers as root cellars, among other things. Investigators have also discovered that the area around the Cliff of Tears has a very strong electromagnetic field, which could explain many odd feelings and reactions to those who come in contact with it. Okay, well, the paranormal also has a very strong magnetic field. So, this is definitely going to need some checking out. Keith, what is the exact address of this?
I can investigate it later and find out. I believe they do give tours.
You know, we got to pay for it?
I'm not too sure.
It doesn't say on here.
There's tons of when you type in Gunjiwamp, Groton, Connecticut in a search, a lot of search results come up for it, and I believe you can get a tour.
Yeah, you got to go through the Gunjiwamp Society, and you click on that, and it doesn't even come up. All right, whatever. All right, so we'll figure it out. Sarah wants us to check Colchester, Cromwell, Cornwell. I don't see anything on Colchester.
There's something called the Gunjiwamp Society.
Yeah, click on it. And what's it bring you to? Nothing.
Oh, no, the site went down.
Oh, yeah, see? I'm just going to go. I don't give a shit. I mean,
well, I'm pretty good at navigating to places like that.
Yeah, I'm not finding anything in Colchester.
Colchester?
Yeah, Sarah was looking for something in Colchester. Here's one a little close to my heart. It's because it's us. And I can never say the word. I want to say it's the Makawisug. Makawisug, which is Mohegan for little people. This is on Mohegan Hill in Uncasville. And from pixies and leprechauns to brownies and elves, legends abound of little people who live hidden away from most eyes. Found on almost every continent and in many cultures, these wee folk are responsible for all manner of magic and mischief, and often predate the history of whatever peoples to which they are connected. Well, stories of little people are especially prevalent in Native American lore. In Connecticut, the Mohegans, and to a lesser extent, the Pequots, told tales of the Makawisug, believed to live under Mohegan Hill in what is now Uncasville. According to the legend, the little people are generally good spirits. When treated with respect and kindness, they grant occasional favors, protect the tribe, and ensure bountiful harvests. It is said they also taught the Mohegans how to grow maize and the healing secrets of certain medicinal plants. Described by some as knee-high tall, the Makawisuk wear moccasin flowers for shoes. They are believed to have the power of invisibility and have been reported to carve symbols in stone. In addition, they supposedly create stone piles, which are used to help protect the Mohegans. In 2012, a development in the area was interrupted by tribal members wanting to preserve such piles. Described as being made of bones of Mother Earth and containing messages that guide generations after generations of Mohegan people. Mohegan tradition requires that gifts be left for the Makawisuk, particularly baskets of food such as corn cakes, berries, and meat. The Makawisuk come at night to collect gifts, heralded by the call of the whippoorwill. The name Makawisug derives from a combination of the whippoorwill and moccasins. Of course, being magical beings, the little people have few idiosyncrasies. The Mohegan believe that if you see one, you should not make eye contact, which is interpreted as being rude. In retaliation, the Makawisug will point a finger at you, causing you to become rooted to the spot. Once you're frozen, they will then take your belongings and leave you alone in the woods. The Makawisug apparently are so sensitive to their name being brought up in conversation, especially in the summer, thank God it's fall, when they are reported to be most active. So, all right, these people are comedians. So the basic rule of thumb is see no Makawisug, speak no Makawisug. And of course, there are variations to the story. This one is from the Mohegan tribe site. Yes, we have our own site, Mohegan tribe. When the English settlers came to disrupt the traditional way of the Mohegan life, many forgot to help the Makawisug. As a result, many Mohegans and Makawisug fell ill. At this time of bad spirits, there lived a medicine woman. One night, during a terrible storm, she heard the whippoorwill. When she looked outside, the bird wasn't to be found, but a small boy stood in the rain on her doorstep. It turned out he was a grown Makawisug named Wiegand, who told her to come help someone who was sick. Though the storm was fierce, he led her through the woods a long way. Suddenly, the storm seemed to stop as they began to descend into the ground. They were in the realm of the little people. Wiegand led her to a beehive-shaped chamber of rocks. Inside, a very old woman lay in bed, very ill. The Makawisug told the medicine woman that this was Granny Squannet, who must be made well. Granny Squannet is very powerful, and she is known to cause storms when she argues with her husband. Her illness was the reason for this storm. Worse, healers often look to Granny Squannet when the need is dire for help and healing. And here she was, the one who was sick. The medicine woman treated Granny Squannet for nearly a moon before she got better. In return for restoring Granny Squanet's health, the Makawaisug gave the medicine woman a basket of gifts and told her to remember them. She was then blindfolded and taken back home. Only when she returned did she open the basket. Inside were quartz crystals, painted skins, and a bunch of herbs. Gotta love it. They put a like a Google Earth picture here. Yeah, that's what it is. Google Maps. And interesting. The legend has it in order to maintain balance of nature, Granny Squanet is married to Moshup the giant, who of course represents large creatures. And then they crack some stupid jokes on here. Wow. And there is a book called Makawaisug, The Gift of Little People, courtesy of Indian Country Today, which offers information about them. And it talks about the Tanaquidgeon Museum, which chronicles the history and the culture of the Mohegan, located on Mohegan Hill, 1819 North London Turnpike. Admission is free. If you've never been, check it out. My uncle actually has a lot of stuff in the Tanaquidgeon Museum. A lot of arrowheads and potteries that he found. And Sarah was just peeling corn to boil, and there was a caterpillar in one of the ears. Was it a caterpillar or a worm? Because, you know, often corn has a lot of worms. And did you make fun of the Makawaisug? I'm betting you did. So betting you did. So anyway, yeah, even my native people, the Mohegans, have stuff in here. The end of 2012 UFO roundup. Oh, I got to see this. Oh, yeah. All these towns that reported seeing the UFO.
What?
Yeah.
When was this?
July 29th, 2012, Woodbury. July 29th, 2012, Killingsworth. August 25th, 2012, Bristol. September 6th, 2012, Stamford. December 12th, 2012, Milford. October 4th, 2012, Lisbon. November 24th, 2012, Bolton. December 24th, 2012, Naugatuck. December 28th, 2012, Monroe. And January 1st, 2013, Westport. All the same thing.
Interesting.
Well, we did a show on UFOs and stuff like that, and I'm going to say it again. We'd have to be ignorant to think that we are the only planet in the billions of galaxies that are out there that have life on it.
Right. So where'd you park your spaceship?
Over at the Galactic Empire.
Yeah, okay.
But no, seriously. I mean, you think about it. Billions of galaxies out there, and we're the only one with life on it? Yeah, I don't think so.
They're probably listening to us right now. Probably going to get a phone call from an alien in a minute.
Right? Did you ever see the show V?
Oh, yeah. Yep. We come in peace, and they're a bunch of dangerous lizards.
You know, I was watching the original Star Trek the other day, and it's absolutely amazing how much stuff was in that show. Now, that show was back in the mid-'60s. How much of the technology from that show that we actually have today. So it's kind of cool. You know, Gene Roddenberry, I don't know if he could see into the future or what, but a lot of that stuff, you know, people were like, yeah, okay. And we have it. You know, look at the communicators. You know, now we call them cell phones. When they told you to put something on screen, now you can put something on screen. The medical technology, I mean, it's just so weird. Now, when was the last time you watched an original Star Trek episode?
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. And somebody had told me that there's actually a show out there that talks about the original Star Trek and all of the stuff that we use today that can be traced back to the original Star Trek. Yeah, it's Keith. His phone's going nuts. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for pointing that out. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I got to look it up. I don't know if it's on Netflix or any of that, but it'd be really interesting to see exactly what was in the original Star Trek that we use today. I mean, other than the phones and our communicators, as they called it, and just the different things. You know, damn it, how come we don't have any, we don't have warp drive and the Enterprise and all of that yet? Because I think that would be so freaking cool to go check out these other galaxies and everything. Because it's true. It's absolutely true. You know there's life out there. It's just a matter of finding it. Preferably before it finds us. It's when you say something, Keith.
What happened?
Hey, I'm sitting here talking to you. I feel like I'm talking to myself, which basically I am. And
I was working on something. I'm sorry.
You trying to disable the beeping on your phone over there?
Yeah. Yeah, I tell someone on Messenger I'm in the middle of the show and they keep on popping off messages. I'm like, how do I shut this thing up?
Well, I mean, you know. So, again, even though if you missed it earlier, James is not here anymore, but you can still see him once again every Thursday night at 9:30 at the Lansdowne Pub. Always a good time with karaoke. This Saturday night at the it's actually all day Saturday, is the Halfway to St. Patrick's Day Blast. Food and drink specials all day long, giveaways, and I mean it's not going to be a huge blowout like St. Patrick's Day is, but it'll be pretty good. So stop by the Lansdowne Pub this Saturday for our Halfway to St. Patrick's Day event. What else we got going on? Oh yeah, the Haunted History at the Leffingwell Inn. That will be October 25th and 26th. And again, the times for that, 6 to 7:30, 8 to 9:30, 10 to 11:30, $30 for adults, $25 for 12 to 17. Due to insurance purposes, no one under 12 is allowed. There will also be tarot readings done by Snow Bruno. $20 for a basic reading and $30 for a full reading. To reserve your spot at the Haunted History, email Red Lake Nation, all one word, Red Lake Nation 24 at Gmail, with your name, number in your group, and the preferred time and date. And that, once again, the dates are October 25th and 26th, 6 to 7:30, 8 to 9:30, 10 to 11:30. And for the tarot readings, if you're interested, $20 basic, $30 for a full read. To make reservations on that, it's Crossing the Veil Paranormal, all one word, Crossing the Veil Paranormal at gmail.com. Sarah says it's basically the Jim, Keith, and Sarah show.
Yeah.
Sarah's on point today. I don't know what's up
Surprised
with
she hasn't called in yet.
Well, I mean, we have 2 minutes left in the show.
Oh.
That's. I mean, Michelle was supposed to call up and share her ghost stories, and didn't happen. So we'll have to save that one for next week, I guess. Yes, I am working again tonight. I work every night. I work Tuesday through Saturday nights. So if you happen to be at the Lansdowne Pub, stop in and say hi. Or if you happen to be at the Mohegan Sun, stop in and say hi. I'll be there. I still got to get the 8x10s of Gina and I. And we'll sign autographs and pass out autographed pictures of us and all kinds of happy stuff. So it's about that time. Time to wrap up the show. Until next week. Actually, I gotta check the date. I don't know if we have a show next week. If we don't have a show next week, I will be here the following week. And our countdown to Halloween continues. So, until next week, I am your host, Jim Sakowitz, along with our chief engineer, Keith Munch, wishing you a great week and take care of each other. See ya.